When I met my daughter's mother, she was introduced to me by another girl who they worked together at a telephone company, and she says, I have a friend that would be interested in meeting you. So we went by the house one day, and she brought her down and she introduced her to me, and we became good friends, and we had a child together, which is Naisha, which is my grandson's mother. Hi, my name is Norman Cook, and my grandkids call me Grandpa Fishing.
Oh, it's a groovy situation, a splendid combination that we should...
Growing up, one of the hobbies that I liked was fishing. And you know, there was not too many places or not too many people to take you fishing in those days. So my friends and I would get on the train and go up to Pelham Bay Park, and we would fish there and then come home, you know, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed fishing. I was born in the Bronx, and I stayed there for about maybe 5 or 6 years before I moved to Harlem. I grew up in a poor family raised by my mother and grandmother. My father was absentee, and we grew up poor, but we didn't know we were poor. We were happy, and it was only later and that I encountered as I got older and realized that we were poor, and then I experienced a little racism growing up. At one point, living in Harlem, we were in a one-bedroom apartment, and that was 7 or 8 of us in one bedroom. I was about maybe 15 or 16, and there was another incident where I was going across the street and there was a carload of policemen crossed in front of me, and I was trying to cross the street, and they had been drinking. And one of them in the rear started to call me names, the N-word, and so forth. And the solution to that was the other cops told me to go ahead about my business, which I was trying to do before they pulled up in front of me. And we made out. We were there maybe a year or two, and then we moved on to a much larger 6-bedroom apartment where we were a lot more comfortable. I was there for maybe 15 years, I say, maybe from the age of 10 to about the age of 25, which is the age I went into the service.
In Korea, United Nations troops push on in the cautious advance against the communists. An advance whose purpose, General Ridgway states, is not to seize ground, but to wipe out the enemy.
My captain volunteered the whole company for Vietnam. This was 1968. I went in December of 68. And so my brother wrote me, who was in Vietnam, wrote me a letter saying that, you know, why don't you try to go to another place, because, you know, I'm here and this is all we need out of the family in Vietnam. One person is enough. And so I did with the captain. I went to him, spoke to him, and I got to go to Korea, which I was still wound up in a hostile fire zone, but it was a lot better than Vietnam. I encountered a lot of racism in Korea. Promotion was never a thing that they thought of me. And I did all I could. You know, Sergeant told me one time, I said, well, how come I'm not advanced? How come I don't get a promotion? He says, well, you hang out with the wrong people. And I said, well, what does that have to do with me? And, you know, and then I realized what he was saying is that I was hanging out with the black fellas, and he didn't want me to be hanging out with them. He thought I should hang out with the white fellas. So, therefore, advancement escaped me. When I came home, they thought I was a different person. I had encountered racism and so forth, and indeed I was a different person. I wasn't the same naive individual that went away to the service. Now I was realizing that there were people that didn't like you for whatever reason. And so on the job, one day I hit the lotto for a few dollars, and one of the fellows said to me, do you live at such an address, and did you just hit the lotto? And I said, yeah. And he says, and you weren't going to tell any of us? I said, I was going to tell you in my good time. And from there, I felt that I wasn't liked. I could feel that I wasn't liked like I was, anything like I was before I went into service. And so sure enough, a few months later, I was asked to, I was late a couple of times, so I was asked to resign or be terminated. So I didn't want to be terminated, so I resigned. I went to work with my mother at Jacoby Hospital. It was a trade that I knew nothing about, but it was a job. And you know, I worked there for about a year and a half, and then a little after that I got called by a civil service test that I had taken previously. As a black man, there wasn't a lot of jobs open to you, and civil service was always one of the better paying jobs. So I took every civil service test. I took police, I took firemen, you know, I took the Parks Department climber. There was a tree climber position, and I had worked as one summer as a park employee, and the fellow that I worked with taught me to climb. So when the job came up, I was able to go in and apply, and I got the job. If you watch long, I'm up in the bucket after a while.
You got that zoom on the top right by your hand. If you want to get a close-up, a real handsome dude, just push that zoom.
Norman, say something.
Hey,
That's all, folks.
all right, that's all. Building this tree here in Staten Island, tough work.
Oh, it's a groovy situation.